Okay, it's a war zone life as a Brooklyn nurse on the front lines of COVID-19. Let's go through this here. I find this interesting article. Nurse Rahman, a 27-year-old registered nurse at the Maimonides Medical Center Emergency Department in Brooklyn, is used to the 12-hour shift from 3 p.m. to 3 a.m. in the morning. Wow. You imagine getting out at 3 a.m. in New York. You need a car to get home, huh? And you get out at 3 a.m. The trauma nurse has worked with patients who have suffered heart attacks and strokes, gunshot victims, and people injured in car crashes. When the coronavirus outbreak hit New York City at the beginning of March, Robin said she was seeing 20 to 30 coronavirus patients a day. That same month, Rahman came down with a fever, and on March 20, she found out that she had COVID-19, the illness caused by the virus. She has been self-quarantined at her Bay Ridge home and is set to go back to work next week. Over 4,700 people have died of COVID-19 in New York State alone, with more than 130,000 confirmed cases of the disease. Nearly 17,000 people are currently hospitalized in the state. On Monday, Governor Andrew Cuomo said at a news briefing that those who had died were people the hospitals could not save, and that their deaths were not due to a lack of beds, ventilators, or medical staff. Okay, let me skip through here. Rahman has described the scenes at her local hospital as chaotic. As a frontline healthcare provider and former coronavirus patient, she told HuffPost she's frustrated by the inadequacy of the government and by individuals who are still not heeding to calls to stay home. An overwhelming physical and mental toll. Although Rahman is feeling better, she considers herself among the lucky ones. The lack of proper equipment and protection has put frontline healthcare providers like her at risk, and it's only getting worse, she said. Fortunately, I was able to survive this, and I was able to be okay. Unfortunately, I know many nurses and colleagues that happened to not be doing as well, she said. It's just becoming more of a war zone. The mental and physical health of healthcare workers continue to deteriorate with each passing day. Rahman called the situation catastrophic and said medical providers are forced to ration resources based on a patient's condition. It's really taken an emotional toll on nurses and doctors and medical staff, and why we have to be forced to make these decisions. And it's just not fair, she said. There's a picture of Rahman there. Ria Rahman is a 27-year-old registered nurse at the Maimonides Medical Center Emergency Department in Brooklyn. Unmet needs. Hospitals in Brooklyn, a borough that's home to at least 200 different languages and a population that's nearly 40% foreign, require staff that are equally diverse. That needs has been emphasized during the outbreak, Rahman said. We are seeing immigrants that don't even speak an ounce of English dying alone in hospitals, she said. As an American of Bangladeshi descent and the only Bangla-speaking medical professional in the emergency department, Rahman said she frequently asked to translate for patients who would otherwise go unnoticed. Everybody's worst nightmare is dying alone, and it's just unfortunate that that's happening right now, she said. Experts and medical professionals like Rahman know that the situation is only going to get worse. She echoes the calls of the White House and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. People need to stay home, and more equipment and safety measures for frontliners like herself are desperately needed. But she's hopeful too, calling New Yorkers among the most resilient people in the country. New York City can survive this, said Rahman. Hopefully, we be okay. All right. So let's back up here. There's a video here. I'm going to play this video. There's Rahman again. She's out sick. She came down with the virus. The good news is, hopefully, she can go back and she won't have to worry. She won't have to worry about it, because once you're infected, normally, that is, and we believe this is the case, normally, once you're infected, your body builds up immunities, antibodies. So what's going to happen is she can go in there and she doesn't really have to be concerned, because her body builds up antibodies and she's now protected. She's like a superwoman. She can go in there and she doesn't have to be worried with all that stuff to put on. Yeah, she can just do the regular stuff, because she knows if she picks up the virus, her body already has antibodies. So she's protected. So you know she's going to be in demand now. Somebody who was sick and survived and came back to work with antibodies. And she's 27, so she's young. So she's the one who's going to be going in that room where others who will have to take a long time to dress up and so forth. She probably won't have to do all that stuff. You know? Because with her, it's not going to be like worrying, since she already got sick. So, yeah, the bad news is she got the disease. The good news is that she probably has immunity, because most of these diseases, you got immunity. Like measles, if you came down with measles, you become immune. Chicken pox, usually you become immune if you get chicken pox. You don't have to worry about it anymore. So let's see here. This is the video. I'm gonna open this up so I can play the video.
We didn't sign up to die at our jobs. It's not the same as going to an actual war. This is healthcare. We were already aware that we didn't have a lot of PPE, but it felt like our hospitals and just the whole country didn't think that we would get hit the way that they did, that we wouldn't have that amount of cases. But it was frustrating, because you go into healthcare, thinking like you want to take care of people and you want to care for patients, and we didn't sign up to die at our job.
You're spread so thin. We don't have a state law where it's mandated to have staffing ratios, and now we're seeing that play out very clearly with the lack of staffing, especially the lack of nurses, because you don't have anyone at the best. Our New York State Department of Health just put out that we were probably running out of personal protective equipment. JCAHO, Joint Commission, they accredit hospitals, have put out there, come in with your own supply. We need the stuff that is seen in Italy and in China. You see, they have their hazmat suits.
We don't have the equipment we need to take care and protect ourselves at these hospitals. I have friends that are having trouble sleeping, waking up in the middle of the night with nightmares. They're not their eating habits are different. We're not taking care of ourselves the same way as we were before. I think the entire environment and climate would be a lot different if nurses had N95s to wear or had, the appropriate equipment that we need to take care of ourselves.
Colleagues who've gotten sick and who are in intensive care. You think you're invincible almost when you're in healthcare, and then you see your colleagues get sick.
The entire idea and concept of Western medicine as we know it has obviously failed us, right? So the entire idea that this is an industry and a for-profit organization and these institutions are made to make money has really deterred us and gotten us to this point now where we don't even have supplies to take care of its workers. And hospitals forget that without workers, there would be no hospitals.
2020 was designated the year of the nurse by WHO, by the World Health Organization. We thought that it was going to be like a year where, nurses were celebrated for, everything that we've done in the past. But now it's really come down to nurses are like at the front lines. They're sleep deprived, like physically exhausted, very anxious.
It's like mentally draining, and then thinking about like the next step in the next couple of weeks of what's happening after this, when the peak really hits. Like, none of us are mentally prepared for what could happen and what's going on in New York.
I know after this is over, there's going to be a lot of people who's going to need services. The post-traumatic stress of dealing with seeing dead bodies all the time. People are dying, morgues are filled. They have trucks to put bodies in. This is traumatic. This is traumatic, not just for us as staff members, but also the community. People can't even be with their loved ones in those last moments, and it's hell.
I have my friends who are discussing end of life measures for them with their family and telling them what they would want. The other day I was talking to my fiance, and I was just crying with him because I was like, I don't want to die. I won't shame anyone that is quitting their jobs in nursing or in healthcare because they don't want to die, or they don't want to pass it on to their child who has cancer, or their family member who has cancer or is immunocompromised. And we're not martyrs.
I'm a mother to a 5-year-old, and my husband is immunocompromised, so I'm always worried that I am bringing something back to them. It's hard to take off that hat from work. I feel like I'm being a poor mom because I can't really be there mentally for him, because I'm just thinking about the bigger picture of everyone around me. There are so many of us out there who are afraid and scared, and all we have left of our dignity is to just show up for work and do our best.
The biggest thing that I want people to focus on after this is over is our mental health, because a lot of us are going to be going through it. So just look after your people in healthcare after this is over, if they're still here.